Hello, everyone. My name is Forward Progress, and lately I've been thinking a lot about identity. The concept of identity. Now, this is nowhere near my first time speaking about identity. In fact, I've been presenting on this topic since back in 2016. But recently I found myself reflecting on this topic once again. You see, when I was a kid, I was a big fan of the Peanuts. I mean, I still am today. Well, when I went to put this video together, it occurred to me just how many different identities Snoopy has had over the years. We've seen him hanging out by the water fountain as Joe Cool, typing away as the world's greatest writer, handing out eggs as the Easter Beagle, and, of course, fighting the Red Baron as the World War I flying ace. Snoopy's a character that always seemed so chill and confident with himself, allowing him to take on so many different roles while still being Snoopy at his core. And, well, I always wished that I could be more like Snoopy. Instead, I grew up believing that I was a Charlie Brown. You know, the one that always got the short end of the stick. Over the years, we've seen Charlie Brown have the football deliberately pulled away from him, had his Christmas tree fall apart on him, and through doing the responsible thing, ends up having his friends angry at him and miss his chance for a New Year's dance with the girl of his dreams, the little red-haired girl, of course. Now, Charlie Brown was the identity nobody wanted. The boy who was never really good at anything. And everyone knew it. Everyone would constantly remind him just how much of a blockhead he was anytime he dared to do so much as try. I mean, I think Drawfee summed it up pretty well here.
Charlie Brown's not about guilt and shame. Charlie Brown is about not being like Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown is about thanking your lucky stars every day that at least you are not Charlie Brown.
Like, yeah, you know, I may have said something stupid today and made a fool of myself, but at least I'm not Charlie Brown.
Nobody wants to be Charlie Brown. But for me growing up, that's the character I identified with the most. I was afraid to try new things because I truly believed that, well, I was just a blockhead who couldn't do anything right, just like Charlie Brown. I mean, trying to communicate with my parents even over what was going on with me often felt like I was getting the same response you'd get from... For me, being Charlie Brown was just my life. I had so much that I wanted to do, but inside I always felt that I could just never make it happen. That it wasn't right for me, that I was somehow cursed to not be able to do it. There's something that Charlie Brown says at one point that just really drives the point home for me.
I know why they have holidays. They have holidays so people can get together and have fun. So why am I alone?
I didn't do a lot of trick-or-treating as a kid. I spent most of that time handing out candy to other kids. I'd stay at home and maybe a pair of wax teeth and something I could tie around my neck to make it look like a cape so I could be a vampire, but it was a half-assed costume that was just to do something so I could say I was celebrating, but I never truly celebrated. Wasn't going out with the kids and truly enjoying it. And even the couple years that I did go out, I always felt nervous and like I wasn't good enough. My costume wasn't good enough and I didn't belong here. I might as well have been getting handed rocks just like Charlie Brown. I just didn't feel good enough. I mean, I remember one year I spent the vast majority of my summer vacation hiding from the world in my bed while I would peer out the window and just wonder about what could be in the outside world. I mean, my concept of identity was that of someone who just was not meant to have all of the things that others got to have. I had that for a long, long time until the 2010s when I got medicated, went back to college, and discovered the Brony fandom. And within all of those things, I was finally able to gain some confidence over myself and who I am, and start to make a true identity for myself, one that I was content with, one that I was happy with. And I finally went from hiding under the covers from the world to being on stage hosting panels for hundreds of people. It was such a juxtaposition, such a night or day. I felt more like myself than I ever had my entire life, and it was wonderful. Until it all came crashing down on me. In a very short span of time, I experienced a slew of traumatic events where I was lied to, mistreated, abandoned, and threatened violence upon myself and my friends, among other things. Needless to say, this had an impact on me, and it left me feeling so down. I fell into a very dark place where it was hard to feel joy, feel trust for anyone, feel any sense of confidence. I looked at myself and I really believed that I had it wrong all this time, that by believing in friendship and togetherness, I only had opened myself up to harm from the community I thought could never bring harm to me. It's taken me literal years to reckon with this, to work through this, but recently I ended up finding myself resonating with the character's search for their identity much more than I ever bargained for. In September, Agatha All Along premiered, and the series reintroduced us to the character of Billy Maximoff. Now, for those unfamiliar, Billy, along with his twin brother Tommy, is the magically birthed son of Wanda Maximoff and Vision that we literally saw grow up right before our eyes in WandaVision. I mean, quite literally grow up right before our eyes. It was wonderful to see them, but unfortunately, we only got a short amount of time with the characters. At the end of the series, when Wanda collapses her magic hex in order to free the town, this effectively ends the lives of Vision and both of the twin boys, Billy and Tommy, that were birthed within the hex, or so it seemed. When we meet Billy Maximoff again, we don't even know it's him at first. He doesn't even know it's him at first. And this is a feeling I can relate to, honestly, very well. Billy awakens to massive trauma, having literally died and come back in an entirely different body with little to no memory of either life that came before. I mean, imagine the fear of looking in the mirror and not knowing the person who's looking back at you. This is how it felt for me for so long, that I didn't even know who I was anymore. That all that I had done to build up, to make this identity of myself, of who I truly was, wasn't who I truly was. That I was being a fraud this entire time. That I was a fake. That when I looked in the mirror, I couldn't be that person who I wanted to be. It was like that person who I was a prisoner within my own brain. Like I'm watching myself being and doing things that don't really feel like me. I mean, I don't know about how better to sum it up than...
It was like watching yourself on TV inside your own head. But you couldn't turn it off.
I couldn't turn off what was inside my head. I was trying and trying and trying to be something that I didn't know who it was. I was trying to be somebody I wasn't. Somebody ruled by fear. Somebody ruled by instinct, as opposed to the free-thinking, science-loving guy who would go around and speak to hundreds of people. I couldn't find that. And I needed to. I didn't know who I was anymore. Just like Billy, when he even primarily thinks he knows he's Billy, still has doubt.
He must ask a question.
What does it matter?
Proper tarot takes time and care.
And leads to large gaping wounds.
Am I William or am I Billy?
Billy has trouble. Even when he is pretty positive he is Billy Maximoff, there's still that little shred of doubt in the back of his mind. And it hinders him from becoming who he really is at his core. We all experience this in our lives, trying to run away from the core of our identity because something made us afraid, something put a thought into the locus of our mind where we can't think of other things about who we truly are, just what's immediate in front of us. And this brings me to a concept that we call the looking glass self. Simply put, the looking glass self refers to a way of developing your own identity, not necessarily by what you think you are, but by how you perceive others to perceive you. And I want to be clear, it's not how others actually perceive you. It's how you perceive others perceiving you. How you put this concept of perception of yourself in your own brain. That I think others are looking at me in a certain way, therefore I look at myself in a certain way. And you take this in and you start thinking less of yourself.
I thought it was me. That it's my fault that I can't keep a job. That everything I touch turns to shit. That I couldn't save her.
We all face this in various ways, to various degrees. Trying to reconcile with who we are in the face of what others say and what others think. And we try to control everything that's around us. But sometimes we can't control it. Sometimes we need to do something different.
So much fear, even now.
Please just tell me how to control what's happening.
Your task is not to control, but to see.
We need to see what is happening. Remove us from what our preconceived notions are and truly see what the reality is of the world around us, of the way others are perceiving us, of the way we are thinking about ourselves. What is real and what have we fantasized in a way to protect ourselves, to protect our self-esteem. But oftentimes, our attempts to protect our own self-esteem end up with negative consequences until we can really truly see what is happening to us and around us.
I was falling. I will fall.
Yes. What will you do with your remaining time?
It is not necessarily just about what we do as far as experiencing. It is what we do with the time when we properly see that which is around us. And that is what I am challenged myself to do. Because through stepping back and looking at what is happening around me, I can truly know myself. And by truly knowing myself, I can know others better. And there is nothing more I could call keeping friendship magic than just that. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.